Welcome to UNMUZZLED Chat. Hope everyone had a terrific weekend and are having a fine Monday. Now, I don't know what it is about Erica here, but I just have good vibes. Maybe it's because she's connecting with me all the way from Hawaii, and I say it like a tourist. I know I do, even though I've never been there. It's cool when I hear people say Hawaii that are from there. There's like a Hawaii or something. Is that how it said, Erica?
Yeah, I still haven't quite perfected it, but yeah, it's Hawaii. Hawaii. There's they call it a glottal stop.
Right.
Hawai. Okina.
And I love my dad. You know, I know he's been there a handful of times, but he says it's so pronounced. I'm like, I feel like you're on the other side of the tourist like pool where you're trying to
Yes,
sound like a
trying.
local too hard. You're like, Hawaii. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Hawaii.
all right, Dad. But no. So Erica here has an awesome story. Now I'll admit I don't know too much of it because I want to save and capture everything she's gone through as a Lyme Warrior herself organically. So we're all going to dive into this at the same time together. I know she's going to hit on some powerful things. And I just really hope it breathes light and life and hope into ones that are struggling, and not just folks struggling with Lyme disease, because I'm seeing the deterioration of health all around us. So even those that are healthy, stay tuned, because there's a lot to pick up on here where we could all up our resilience. And one of the blessings with Lyme, how we rule out all these toxins, all like, I don't know, we're able to like balance things out. Like it becomes kind of the gold standard, if you will, to achieve optimal health for anybody. So anyway, with that being said, Erica, thank you so much for joining us here on UNMUZZLED Chat. How are you?
I'm good. I had a little bit of a very high social weekend, so I'm definitely coming off of like needing. Yesterday was spent pretty mellow, and today we're ramping back up. But pretty good.
I get it. It's
Yeah.
in. It's like with Lyme. I mean, anyone, right? Anyone. Let's. And that's the thing. We really want to bring in relation and understanding for
Yeah.
those that don't have Lyme. There's this disconnect
Mhm.
where just folks around us just aren't. They're trying to show up. They're trying to understand, but there's just. I guess it's difficult. The same thing I learned as a former alcoholic in AA programs, where it took people with that alcoholism to really be able to relate. But there can be, through awareness, through educating, through consideration, through upping our resilience, through empathy, in research, more understanding. And it's just like cancer. Cancer. I'm sorry, I just flashed back to a recent conversation on a post, and I just
Mm,
wanted to do a disclaimer where in no way, shape, or form am I diminishing the
yeah.
challenges that are posed with cancer by this is no pissing match, so to speak. And but it's one of them things, like, with the correlation with Lyme disease leading to cancer, it's just absolutely crucial as a root of an issue we up the awareness of this, because hypothetically we could eradicate a lot of people from even dealing with cancer by earlier diagnoses to the root of these issues. But what I'm touching on in this point with cancer is like, historically, like, there was a time we didn't really understand it. And those that struggled out the gate 20, 30 years ago, there was no insurance coverage. It was more woo woo to Western medicine, but it became the thing it is today, and people understand it more. And that was simply through awareness. So like that's kind of where we're at with Lyme, and but it's harder understood with Lyme because we can look fine on the outside, where a cancer patient's losing all their body mass.
Yes.
And then the chemos, they're losing their hair and they look more skeleton, and it's your heart just goes out. So help us do our part, Erica, on sounding the alarm for folks. My
Yeah,
goodness.
I know. It's hard because it's what they call an invisible disease, right?
Right.
At least for me, at when at the point in which I caught it, because I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis first. So
Okay. Yeah.
that's how I even got on this whole path. So most doctors won't even entertain the idea of me having Lyme disease because I live in Hawaii,
Oh my gosh.
but I wasn't born here. I was born in
Right.
Northern California. So
Okay.
my dad deer hunted. We camped all the time. We spent lots of time outdoors. Like, it's very possible. But if I talk to a doctor here, they'll tell me Lyme disease doesn't exist in Hawaii. It's like, well, most people are transplants who live here. So let's consider that.
You want to
But
see this right here? Lyme carrying ticks have been found in all 50 states and all around the world. All right,
yep.
doctors. All right,
Yeah.
experts. All right,
Yeah. Like, think about it.
know-it-alls.
Think
Yeah,
about it.
a little bug couldn't, let's say, even if that environment it couldn't survive, as though that bug couldn't live in my bag
Yeah.
from one of these states or on my body, without me detecting it, and then live a week or two out there and infect who knows how many.
Well,
Okay,
here's the
experts.
other thing is that, like, me being from Northern California and having Lyme for God only knows how long. I mean, I don't know. I had one known tick bite when I was like 21, I think, but my exposure could have been at an earlier age. And then I moved here, and then a vector borne mosquito or,
Yes.
tick or whatever could
Mm-hmm.
feed off me.
Yep.
And then what?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's multiple different ways that this could happen. And I'm not a
Yep.
scientist by any means, but
Doesn't
like,
take one. Yeah.
come on.
So, wow. All right. Let's dive into your story here a bit then. You can start where you wanted, but it would be nice to pick up on when things started impacting you and how this walk has gone from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because so I've dealt with a couple different
Right.
diagnosis
Yeah. You're good.
diagnoses. Anyway, before Lyme came into the picture. So in
Yeah.
2017, I started feeling kind of just weird. I feel like I've always struggled with fatigue pretty bad. And so EBV comes into question, which we all have been exposed to EBV, right? So that's one thing. But I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's because I had what they call thyroid antibodies. So
Mm.
my immune system was attacking my thyroid for some unknown reason. We don't really know. Well, now what? Could maybe a spirochete or spirochete could have been in my thyroid or something. My body was trying to attack it that way. No one knows. We don't know. Anyway, so Hashimoto's, and then that was in 2017. And then in 2020, from 2017 to 2020, I was still continuing to have mystery things. My feet started to become numb and tingly. I started to have blurry double vision. I was having heat intolerance,
Mm.
vertigo to the point where I would walk on the sand and fell. Like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So all these things were happening. And I am kind of a Google freak. I don't know how you would say that. So someone who's,
Frugal.
yeah,
No, they still they end up they influence a lot of data, right? Like
yeah,
certain narratives. It's no
totally.
secret.
No,
But you can, if you're good at it, you
stuff
can get to
out.
the bottom. Yeah. Okay.
Totally. So,
You're a researcher.
oh yeah, I'm a research individual. So
I like it.
Google kept telling me, because I was putting in all my symptoms, and Google's like multiple sclerosis.
Mm.
And so finally, after seeing maybe 5 different physicians and just being like, oh, the other thing, my hand went numb, like my hand to my forearm went entirely numb.
Mm.
And they were like, oh, maybe it's a pinched nerve, this and that. And I think that was what I that was the biggest one. And so they just kept dismissing me essentially. And finally I went in and I said, I'm done. I want a brain MRI. Physician did a brain MRI because I was like, I'm done. Like, I think I have MS at this point.
Right.
So did the brain MRI. She calls me that weekend and basically says, it looks like it is MS. And I'm like, okay. And she apologized to me. And I'm like, I don't know, I already thought that's what this was. I don't know why you're apologizing to me. I mean, obviously it's kind of a heavy diagnosis, but the thing was the brain MRI did not state multiple sclerosis. All it did was state something like a disease. Let me see if I can think of how it said. Something indicative of a demyelinating disease. So it didn't say MS, but because it's a wide range of diseases, like Lyme could cause it. So that was in 2020. And then I went on just a whole huge path of going down MS. And my neurologist did do that. This is the interesting thing. My neurologist did do, because he said he wanted to roll out any MS mimics. And he did a Western blot on me, and it came back as negative, because obviously we know Western blots are
defective.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I did come back with one band, and it was 41 kDa. And I'm like, okay, why did I have a band? And he was like, well, it's not Lyme disease, so it's MS. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to trust him. But I always saw that because I look at my own labs.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. But, and I think that's one thing we can stress, like, get a hold of your own labs, get your patient portal. If you don't have access to that, then make your physician make you copies of your own labs, so you have that for your own records, because that's imperative, I feel like. But
yeah.
So I saw the one band that was kind of always in the back of my head, and I started the MS medication, which is a pretty big drug. It was a B cell depleter, so it killed half of my immune system, which, as we know,
gosh.
as we know now with Lyme, you need your immune system to try and keep this in check. So so 2020 I started the MS medication. At first I was fine, but then things started to slowly decline again. And I was like, what's going on here? I thought, and the thing is with MS, as we know, MS, ALS, all those things could potentially be Lyme. And I don't want to. The thing is that I know as people who have these diseases, it becomes something they identify with, and they take it on if it's who they are, and that's not them.
No,
like, that wasn't me.
Right.
But if someone were to have, when I was first diagnosed and dealing with that and going through such heavy emotions and trying to just day by day type of thing, if someone were to say, no, that's Lyme you have, that's not MS, I would have been like, who are you? So I get the problem that people have when someone brings them that. And I get the frustration you could initially have. Anyway.
To some of the listeners that you may share this with out there, Lyme disease has been attributed, like any immune related deficiency or anything like that, that's a big red flag, and Lyme should be brought onto the table, hands down, whether you even recall an encounter with a tick or not, especially if you had multiple encounters. But to your point, it has been reported people getting it through all sorts of biting insects, not just ticks, mosquitoes being one of them, which is a freaking scary thought. There's also been, they found it in inoculations. They found Lyme disease in tap water. They've even found it in chemtrail spray, which is like, that's not accidental. This is intentional. And so for those that, and we don't need to go down there, like, we have enough content on this platform for those that want to know more and get legitimate links. Like the book Bitten talks about biowarfare and the origins essentially of this horrific disease. And unfortunately, it seems to me, I mean, I can't say definitively I know it all, but I'm looking at all the evidence. I'm looking at everything that this was man created, and that that goes to show a lot as to why Western blot being defective, there's even a stronger word we could use there. It is, I'm getting beside the point. The point is that Lyme mimics over 300 other illnesses and diseases. And so they call it the great chameleon because it's hard to get to the root of this issue. So often, like your story, like your experience, people will get the misdiagnosis. They're not getting to the root of the issue. And often, I mean, you're lucky at the point, for whatever reason, you end up on some type of path where it ends up any benefit to you. Typically, it's not. It's just and it not focused on the root of the issue. It's going to end up worse before it gets better. And time, money, energy, emotional fortitude, everything suffers. So it's a very devastating illness. It can kill you. It just more so makes you wish you were dead, which is sad because there's a huge connection between this disease and suicide. There were 500,000 diagnoses of Lyme disease in North America alone over this last year. That is more than breast cancer and HIV combined. So sit on that. We know all about breast cancer. We know all about HIV. So the question becomes, why do you not know much about Lyme?
Yeah.
So I would want those healthy to even selfishly think on these facts, these stats. You cannot afford to ignore them. Talk about a true epidemic. This is it. And your very health is at stake. Could your brain fog or your, let's just say, low energy or certain things potentially be attributed to this horrific disease? So it's through awareness, like cancer, we can up the diagnosing, the testing, the protocols, the financial assistance, everything. And I can't wait to get into it with you, the upping the support structure around those that do end up afflicted, because they need you. We need that. Like often in my walk, the relational side of things became at times more challenging than the disease itself when I was knocking on death's door. How is that possible? A disease that, like, I was ready to end it. I just wasn't really capable of doing it, but the relational side of things. So, wow, that awareness is key. Anyway, I am talking too much. I digress, Erica. Apologies.
No.
So continue on, please.
Oh no, I mean, my story is it's still really hard to kind of organize it because I think, like I said before, it's just so chaotic and going through this and questioning, and it's like, okay, well now, I have MS, and everyone in that's what I went through. Everyone in my life was rallying behind me because they understood, or even, I mean, geez, MS has a really bad public PR team. Lyme has a terrible marketing and PR team. Like, they just, no one knows or understands it. So people understood MS, and I feel like, and I feel like it's getting a little more of the limelight, like Selma Blair, and I think Christina Applegate, and all these different celebrities have come out now saying, I have MS. And so people understood it, but now that I have the whole Lyme thing, which again, being a research individual, that's how I was like, why do I have band 41 KDA? Like, what does that mean? Well, it turns out, I think it is, and I always butcher the name. Is spirochete? How do you say it?
Spirochete. Yeah. Spirochete.
So, which is, I'm not like outing myself or anything, but I think, is chlamydia, right? Is it chlamydia, or is it, what's the other?
Oh,
that is also a spirochete.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Right? It's one of them.
Yeah.
That is also a spirochete that I can't think. Syphilis?
Yeah. Is it syphilis?
It's one of them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I know what you're talking
like,
about. Yeah. It's been brought up so many times.
right? So
Yeah.
that is also a spirochete. And so I'm like,
Right.
but so, what's going on here? Something weird is going on here. But
Yeah.
my neurologist never wanted to investigate it. He just put me, and I was scared enough to just go along with it. So he put me on, again, a B cell depleting medication, which it entirely wiped out half of my immune system, called Ocrevus. And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about drug names here, but
It's unmuzzled. We talk about whatever we want. And
okay.
that's where we could take a moment and just thank Rumble for allowing free speech.
Yeah.
Nazi YouTube is a pain. All these other, it's crazy. We need more people to support these free speech platforms and hoard over to them to their own benefits, because otherwise you're only going to be allowed, you're only going to know what they want you to know and
Mm-hmm.
mislead you into believing, because it would be, let's just say, let's throw it out there, it would be financially to their benefit to continue down MS path
Oh yeah.
and get to the root of the issue. It financially, and that's the biggest problem with Western medicine is big business. The Benjamins are prioritized over health and quality of life. We need to change that. We, the people, can change that. So that's like the call to action. We're trying to create the proper momentum for everyone to become a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of being a customer for life, right? So, or
Exactly.
a client for life, because that's what they wanted for me. And then scared the shit out of me, thinking that if I'm not on this drug, like gonna lose my ability to walk, I'm gonna lose my ability to talk, I'm gonna lose any sort of, which, as we know, with people with Lyme, that does happen. Those things do happen, and it's terrible. But they reframed it as, I have MS, and if I'm not on this drug, which costs $100,000 every 6 months, not out of my
Wow.
pocket, out of the insurance company's pocket. And
Yeah.
luckily, I was, as far as my income, I qualified for the parent company who manufactures Ocrevus, called Genentech. I was eligible for being on one of their copay programs. So they took care of, even though insurance companies have a 80-20 split oftentimes, so they'll cover 80% of it, and then the patient is responsible for 20%. So, I mean, 20% of $100,000 is, I don't do math, but that's still a lot.
$20,000.
Yeah, there you go. So,
Man.
so the company,
Yeah.
Genentech, ended up paying that portion of it. Thank the Lord. But
Wow.
so yeah, yes, it's in their best interest to keep you as a client for life.
Wow.
And doing that every 6 months, $100,000 a pop, is like, makes you wonder.
By the way, you were right. Syphilis.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you on
Mm,
doing your research and having an open mind.
yeah.
I mean, because at first you were just blindly entrusting in the infrastructure and the white lab coats, but it seems like you were even, well, Scroogle got to you there a little bit, but
Yeah.
you didn't know any better, right? But you
Totally.
influenced, and it led to the path of getting things sorted out anyways. But the fact you had to push the envelope regarding the MS, and I think that just pretty much led internally within you to being like questioning, to where you're like, all right, I'm gonna get to the freaking bottom of this, because the needle is not being moved in the right direction. I'm the one who's suffering. And so you yourself started connecting the dots. Did it lead you to a Lyme literate doctor then, or?
No. So we're a little, it was just, the culture of it was just, it was.
Well, here we are. Is what it is. It's not something ideally to do, but it must be done. Because the reality of this platform, Unmuzzled Chat, we are not going to conform and fall in line and be cowards to tyrannical platforms. So I'm so sorry to disrupt this episode. This is specifically for the YouTube crowd. An opportunity. We'd like to extend an invitation yet again to Rumble, a free speech platform. Come join us. We don't care your political views. We don't care your origins, all that freaking stats or whatever you want to freaking call it. Come join us. Have the conversations. View this episode and all further content in its entirety. There are bombshell episodes, like probably this one. You need to check this one and others out on Rumble. It's no secret. YouTube now has shown its colors. Freaking Nazi platform trying to control information, withhold information that could save lives. 100%. They don't care about you. They care about their funders and appeasing them. It's sad, but it just is the way it is. And I just sure hope through what I've even dealt with here and many other patriots and many other people using this platform for truthful information and have been censored. It's just, when is enough? Okay? Let's stand strong now. Come join us. There's amazing content. We're going to get to the bottom of things. We want to find out what in fact is truthful and helpful for our mental states, our physical states, just our well-being in general. And we can't do it on this platform, unfortunately. Now, there's been whispers that maybe Elon will buy the YouTube, buy Facebook, and liberate it, similar to what has taken place on X, formerly known as Twitter. Is it perfect? Is everything perfect? No. But we, the people, can support the ones on our behalf, like just by our views, clicks, likes, and we must stand strong on this. I sure hope you see the level of importance here and that we can unite. Let's create this community. Join us. Come on the podcast. Comment. Let's get things rocking and rolling. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you over there. God bless you.